If you're looking for a show that tells you everything that's happening in the world of motorsports in the state of Alabama, you found the brand new show that's going to take you to victory lane every single week. Hello, and welcome in to the inaugural edition of the Alabama Racer. Here's what's coming up on this week's show. We'll recap Munford native Brent Holmes' exciting ARCA Series debut this past Saturday in the Music City 200 in Nashville. Then it's off to the Talladega Short Track to visit with promoter Lynn Phillips to get the latest on the tower rebuild following the devastating fire that destroyed the original structure back in December. We'll flash back into early April when the K&N Pro Series visited Mobile International Speedway for the first time, and the Bama Bash at East Alabama Motor Speedway goes to Superman Jonathan Davenport. And we'll finish the show off with a visit to Talladega Superspeedway to talk with President Grant Lynch about the upcoming Geico 500 NASCAR weekend beginning April 29th. All that and more straight ahead when the Alabama Racer takes the green flag next.
Anniston Storage is one of the area's finest household and commercial storage facilities. Fenced, well lit with security cameras, this multi-unit facility can meet all of your short or long-term storage needs. Anniston Storage is safely accessible 24 hours with an electric gate and keypad entry, each unit securely locked to protect your valuables. Sizes available are 10 by 10 up to 10 by 40 feet. We also offer outside storage for boats, campers, trailers, or motorhomes. Find everything you need at our website, AnnistonStorage.com. You can even reserve your unit and pay your bill. Anniston Storage, 3100 Red Morris Parkway in Anniston.
Spring is finally here. If you're looking for a new car, truck, or SUV,
or just want something more dependable that's affordable to drive,
then come see us at Avery Auto Sales of Anniston, 410 South Quintard Avenue, home of certified cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Don't pay high new car prices. Come see us at Avery Auto Sales in Oxford on Highway 78.
we even can offer an additional 100,000-mile certified warranty.
And yes, we can get you financed even if you have poor credit.
Spring into Avery Auto Sales on Highway 78 in Oxford and our new location on Quintard in Anniston.
Welcome back to the Alabama Racer. To say that Munford native Bret Holmes had a breakout weekend in his ARCA Series debut this past Saturday night at the Nashville Fairgrounds racing in the Music City 200 would be, well, an understatement. While expectations were high, and why shouldn't they be, the team had recently purchased cars from GMS Motorsports, the defending ARCA Series championship team out of North Carolina, and also retained the services of Grant Imfinger, the defending series champion and South Alabama native, to work with Bret on some of his ARCA races this season. Well, the combination clicked right off the truck. The number 23 BHR Chevrolet was fast in both practice sessions, turning top 10 times, and then during qualifying, Bret went out and set a new track record, earning P2 for the race at 19.216 and barely missing the pole that went to Chase Briscoe, who turned a lap of 19.178. Holmes' team was on a short run strategy, which basically meant that the car was quick on short runs during the race, and that bit them later in the event. Holmes stayed in the top 10 most of the night and eventually wound up finishing 5th. Let's get his thoughts as he climbed out of the car following that top 5 finish in Nashville.
We were kind of gambling on a caution coming out later. We were definitely better in the short run, obviously. The long run, we fell off pretty bad. We had 200 laps on our left side tires. So, it was just all really about a call there. But, we still got a good top 5 finish, out of it. It's kind of what we wanted for, ARCA debut, but I definitely think we had a top 3, or a winning car.
The BHR Motorsports team is busy getting Bret's Pro late model car prepared and loaded to head to Pensacola on Friday, where they will race this weekend, and then it's back to the shops to grind on the number 23 to get ready for the upcoming General Tire 200, where Holmes will make his Superspeedway debut at Talladega coming up in just a couple of weeks. It's time for a pit stop, but when we come back on the Alabama Racer, we'll head to Talladega Short Track to talk with promoter Lynn Phillips about the tower reconstruction following the fire this past December. Get you the latest on that, the season opener, and much, much more when we continue.
Hey y'all, this is Terry Smith. We're down here in Talladega Short Track. I run the 99 Super Late model, and y'all are watching Alabama Racers.
Need a place to keep your tools?
Or a place to get away from the wife. Whatever your needs are, we got a barn or a carport for you.
With rent-to-own options and no credit checks, we can help you take home the right barn or carport today.
And with 4 different locations, we're just a short drive away.
So come see us in Glen Cove, Moody, Asheville, or Attala, and let our family help your family get the barn or carport you deserve.
The tire, arguably the most important part of a car. Without it, we could not stop, we could not go, we couldn't drive at all. They come in all sizes, brands, treads, prices, and ratings. How do you know which is the right tire for you? Thankfully, there's Cobb Automotive, and they have been answering this question since 1981. With a large selection of brands and sizes in stock, you are sure to get the right tire for the right price. Cobb Automotive, located on Highway 21 across from Walmart in Oxford, and 2001 Quintard Avenue in Anniston.
Welcome back to the Alabama Racer. I'm your show host, Jim Jacobs. Glad you could join us this week. Well, right after the Christmas holidays, the folks at the Talladega Short Track got a very unwanted after-Christmas gift. It was a blazing fire that destroyed the entire control tower that sits atop the main grandstand area out at the Hornet's Nest. Completely destroyed, everything gone. So Lynn Phillips and his crew set about the task of rebuilding. We thought it'd be a good idea to visit with him right now and find out how it's coming. Lynn, glad to have you on the show today. Can you give us an update on where you are with the tower at this point?
Well, Jim, it's coming along real well. Our goal is to have it completely finished by the Talladega race weekend at the end of April. And we'll be running 2 nights then, and it's coming along really faster than what we thought, and they're doing a great job with it, so it's right on schedule.
Well, Lynn, I'm sure that you didn't want to have to rebuild the tower, but now that you've been put into that position, you probably been given an opportunity to maybe make some changes, but looking over your shoulder there, it kind of looks like the same old structure, just doesn't have the paint and stuff on the outside just yet. Can you give us an idea of any changes that have been made?
Yeah, it's a little bit larger in size. The concession area is bigger, and you'll go inside to be served, and it's just through the walk-through, and it's just going to be a lot more modern. The other tower we lost to fire was built in the 80s, so it's just going to be a nice upgrade for our facility, and it's just going to have a lot more space inside the way it's designed.
Now, you and your team here at the Short Track were faced with running probably one of your biggest events of the year without your main control tower and concession stands. I'm sure that presented some really crazy challenges for you right up against the Ice Bowl back in January, didn't it?
Well, it was really tough. We had a lot of people come forward to help us, but we've got this other tower here that we're on now, and there's just, we had a lot of different people that came around that like to thank Sound Solutions about our PA system and all, and we just worked around it. You have to have plan B and C and D for a situation that might pop up like that, but we had a lot of people that stepped up, other racetracks around loaning us some stuff to use, and it all worked out good. A bad situation turned really good.
Well, Lynn, before we let you go, we couldn't pass on the opportunity to give you a chance to tell everybody about what's coming up NASCAR weekend here at the end of April at the Talladega Short Track.
That's right. It's a 2-day program, 2 full complete shows, Friday and Saturday night, the 29th and 30th of April, and be big late model shows both nights. Southern All-Star Super Late Model Series will be in here on Saturday night for their big 50-lapper, and we'll have tons of cars from all over the Southeast, probably 150-plus race teams in here for that weekend. It's always a great show right here next to the Talladega Superspeedway, and a lot of those fans come over, and of course the locals flock here too to see the shows on Talladega weekend.
Lynn, thanks for joining us today on the Alabama Racers. You know, I'd like to give a big thumbs up to the folks out at Talladega Short Track, because right after that fire, they were faced with putting on one of their biggest, if not their biggest event of the year in the Ice Bowl, and they had to do it without their control tower, their radios, their concession stand. I mean, literally, folks, they lost everything, and the Ice Bowl went off without a hitch under some pretty unbelievable circumstances. Good job, guys. Coming up, we'll take a look at the Alabama racing calendar.
This is Kurt Skinner. Make sure you watch me next week as I join Jim in the studio to go host the Alabama Racer.
Daffron Auto Salvage in Pell City is where you'll find over 30 acres of automotive salvage, plus a warehouse full of quality parts for almost any need. Just call ahead and tell us what you're looking for. At Daffron Auto Salvage, you'll find it all. Engine parts, transmissions, rear ends, radiators, suspension, body parts, auto glass, even tires and wheels. You'll also get fast, friendly service. It's been that way since 1965. Don't pay too much for parts. Think used first. Daffron Auto Salvage, 793 Old Cold City Road in Pell City.
Your neighborhood Grub Mart is your one-stop shop for everything you need when you're on the go. Grub Mart features the best prices on Coke and Pepsi products and is home to the 99-cent bag of ice every day. And Grub Mart is your exclusive home for the popcorn bucket. Purchase yours for only $5.99 and then bring it in for free refills throughout the year. That's right, free popcorn for a full year. Your locally owned and operated Grub Mart, in business for over 72 years.
Welcome back to the Alabama Racers. Before we jump in the racing calendar, let's flash back into earlier this year to cover two big events in the state that kicked off the 2016 racing season. The weekend of March 11th, the NASCAR K&N Pro Series made their first ever visit to Mobile International Speedway, and despite some wet weather that plagued the area over the weekend, resulting in the feature being postponed today, a big crowd turned out to see Tyler Dipple score his first K&N Series win. Just 23 days shy of his 16th birthday, Dipple took the lead on lap 30 of the Mobile 150 presented by the Mobile Sports Authority and drove away from the 25-car field time and time again. Two cautions inside of 10 laps to go kept his number 38 Chevrolet from running away from the competition, but Dipple was never seriously tested on either restart. In early April, the Lucas Oil Late Model Series traveled to Phoenix City to face off at East Alabama Motor Speedway. The 19th annual Bama Bash will go down as being one of the most memorable track debuts on the series tour in recent history, as Jonathan Davenport came from third to first in the final 3 laps to score the win. Davenport passed both Scott Bloomquist and race leader Jared Landers in the waning laps to pick up his 6th Lucas Oil Series victory of the season. The defending series champion beat Landers, Bloomquist, Jimmy Owens, and Darrell Lanigan to the finish line for the win in front of one of the biggest crowds in EAMS track history. Now let's press ahead to this week's racing calendar. If you're in South Alabama and you want a Friday and Saturday doubleheader action-packed weekend, well, Mobile International Speedway is the place for you. They've got a full card of qualifying, heat races, and feature events for motorcycles, pro trucks, bombers, sportsmen, plus a roller derby exhibition. And if that's not crazy enough, they've just added Joker's Wild for all the feature races this Saturday night at Mobile. If you like passing, you'll love this luck of the draw inversion format. If you have a Friday night ticket from back in the K&N Series weekend in March, Friday armband or weekend armband, they will all be good this Saturday. Racing starts at 7 o'clock with grandstand prices $10. The first 200 kids, 12 and under, are admitted free. For dirt track action, Talladega Short Track's your place to be on Friday night at Talladega Raceway Park. Gates open at 5 p.m. and the grandstand admission is absolutely free for all the go-kart action. On Saturday, the Talladega Short Track will host another full night of racing action. The gates open at 5 o'clock with grandstand admission just $10. Kids 9 and under are admitted free. Congratulations to last weekend's winners at Talladega Short Track, Tim Rozelle in Super Late Model, Cruz Skinner in Crate Late Model, Thunder Car winner Justin Angle, Street Stock winner Corey Corrickett, and Hot Shot winner Garrett Lloyd. Checking in at East Alabama Motor Speedway down in Phoenix City after hosting the Lucas Oil Late Models for the Bama Bash earlier in April, EAMS has its regular season opener slated for this Saturday night. You can see all the local divisions in action. Grandstand admission is just $12 with kids under 12 admitted free. Over in Montgomery at the capital city, Montgomery Motor Speedway has action this weekend with an open practice for all classes this Friday. The gates open at 5 o'clock with that for practice at 6 to 9 p.m. On Saturday, it's racing action with the stands opening at 5 p.m. You can see all the lower classes, plus the Modifieds of Mayhem in a 50-lap feature, followed by the Late Model Sportsman in a 35-lap main. Adults are $10, kids 6 to 12, $5, and ages 5 and under are admitted free. And finally, rumor has it that there is once again racing at the foot of Green Mountain up in Huntsville. After 2 years of inactivity, a new era began in local racing for the Huntsville area with new track owners Robbie and Karen Edgar at the helm. The track is reopened for regular shows including Super Truck, Sportsman, Super Stock, Mini Modified, Hot Buzz, Pro Buzz, and Buzz classes. There's a full slate of racing action this Saturday night starting at 7 o'clock. Admission is just $10 for adults, children ages 7 to 11 to get in for $5, with ages 6 and under admitted free. For more information on all the classes and the track schedule, visit HuntsvilleSpeedway.com. That's going to wrap up this week's edition of our racing calendar. If we missed your speedway, well, it's because we didn't have your information. You can send it to us via email. Just send it to the Alabama Racer at fnnnetwork.com. All track information, photos, and videos you'd like to share have to be into us by 12 noon on Tuesday to make it on each weekly show. If you want more information about the Alabama Racer, you can check us out online at our parent homepage at fnnnetwork.com. Look in the yellow line across the top and click on the Alabama Racer. We're headed to the pits for a quick gas and go before the white flag lap. When we come back, we'll visit with Grant Lynch from Talladega Superspeedway and get you up to speed on everything that's planned for the upcoming Geico 500 weekend. That is next on the Alabama Racers.
Every day's a great day to stop in a Samco Express Mart. You'll find plenty of snacks to choose from, and Samco has all your favorite drink brands, all nice and cold. You'll find those last-minute light grocery items you need, and a great variety of grab-and-go brands that's sure to cure any case of the munchies. There's lots of candy, mints, and gum, too. Make sure you fuel up before or after the game. With over 30 locations in the area, there's always one close by. Samco Express Mart.
We build things that work the way you wish they would. Like a front-end loader you can detach from your seat. Or a mower deck you just drive over and cut through knee-deep grass no problem. Yep, we thought the same thing you did. That's why we build them this way. That's how we run. Nothing runs like a deer.
Waking up to smells of burnt rubber, smoldering campfire, and barbecue sauce. I was there, cheering on the drivers you love and booing the ones you don't, while watching them battle the baddest track in NASCAR. You can bet I was there. Escape reality for a weekend at Talladega.
Experience the Geico 500 April 29th through May 1st. For tickets, call 877-GO-TO-DEGA. This is more than a race. This is Talladega.
Welcome back to the White Flag segment of the Alabama Racers. I'm your host, Jim Jacobs. You know, you can always tell that it's just about time for NASCAR to come to town when the PR department out at the Talladega Superspeedway starts doing stuff to get the attention of all the local media, including the Birmingham TV and radio stations. But this year, they may have taken the cake. Look here at the background. That's Brad Keselowski and his family. They recently visited the Birmingham Zoo, and Brad tried out, a camel. That's right. We'd like to thank Grant Lynch for joining us tonight from his office at Talladega Superspeedway to talk a little bit about what's coming up with the Geico 500 weekend. Again, Grant, thanks for joining us. Let's start off a little bit about the facilities. I know there's been a lot of things done there over the past 2 or 3 years, a lot of changes made, and I know you're especially proud of those new grandstands with those extra large seats.
You know, when we started redoing the lower grandstands and we started going to the chairback seats, we put in all 21-inch wide seats in our lower grandstands, and then once we moved up into the towers, we did 22-inch wide seats there. To this date, even with the new Daytona, those still are the widest seats in NASCAR and the best seats in NASCAR. And when you take the sight lines in our facility as well and compare those to other facilities, they're some of the best values in motorsports. In addition to that, we moved the Allison grandstand several years ago and moved all of those people to the front stretch. And finally, once we got everybody over to the front stretch, probably the most impressive change we made lately was putting up the new video boards that we put up a few years ago. We first did some tests with the boards, then we increased the size of the boards after the first test and went to a much bigger board. So basically, it's like having a man cave at your seat at Talladega because you've got your big screen TV sitting in front of you. Plus, you can see the action on the track itself. So we try to take the big board concept that maybe you saw at some of the smaller tracks and move the boards over to where the fans are sitting instead of putting it way back on the backstretch, which wouldn't work on a 2.66 mile facility.
The marketing team here at Talladega seems to focus a lot on stuff for the fans to do when the cars aren't on the racetrack here. One of the things that you guys have come up with lately is the big one on the boulevard. I think it's been a pretty big hit. Can you tell us how that came about?
The big one on the boulevard came about by some of our staff members getting together and start to talk about how can we kick off the week to add something on Friday night that would benefit our infield customers and our two-day ticket buyers that would maybe get people here earlier into the campgrounds, another thing. So they came up with the idea of asking some of the drivers to get on a float. And actually, Clint Boyer was instrumental in us coming up with this idea because he got with Russell Branham and said, we need to put some pizzazz back in the infield. So they came up with the big one on the boulevard concept. And then they brought it to me, and then they started explaining some of these things they wanted to do with the race fans during the first initial one we did. And I reluctantly agreed. No, I'm teasing. I did. I agreed with them. And to say that it was a hit from the first time, I think we probably had 6 or 7 drivers that were there the first time that Clint helped us get on there. Once the word got out about how much fun it was, the next one we had like 12 or 15, and we've had about that many since that time. So it's just a great way to kick off the week and the weekend. And anybody that has a 2-day ticket, which we sell a lot of 2-day tickets, or anybody that has infield passes, obviously are here for 2 days, they get to be there for the big one on the boulevard.
And the fun, free things for fans to do once they have a ticket to your weekend doesn't stop. Recently, you guys announced this year's infield concert for Saturday night. You got some big acts coming to town with Big and Rich and Cowboy Troy.
Yeah, the concerts actually started before the big ones on the boulevard, and we've had some great artists over time. We really had some initial partners that first started that with us, and I think the Zach Brown Band was one of the first groups to ever come here and play, and I think our friends at Pepsi at the time, they were our pouring sponsor at that time, they brought those to us. But having Big and Rich here this weekend with Cowboy Troy is going to be great. You know, they're hugely popular throughout the Southeast and the country for that matter. They're a big name band, and I think the fans are going to really like that here at Talladega.
Another unique opportunity that the fans probably need to know about is your Sunday morning driver Q&A sessions that you do. I know that's something that's really popular, but a lot of folks don't know about it. Tell us about those.
The Sunday morning thing has been a hit as well. That allows people to come in and buy the pre-race pass with a driver intros piece as well. So you get the question and answer session early Sunday morning with the pre-race pass, and then you get the driver intros with the upgrades to come back and go to see that a little later in the morning. And both of those things are real popular with our fans because most people, when you ask them what they like to do when they're at a racetrack, most of them are going to tell they would like to get as close to the drivers and be able to interact with the drivers in any way they can. And for the fans to be down there, whether we have professionals interviewing the drivers themselves, it's a great time for them to be up close and personal and listen to the drivers talk about being at Talladega and just what they think about the weekend and other things as well.
Grant, everybody knows that the camping experience at Talladega Superspeedway is one of the big draws this track has for NASCAR fans across the nation. What's it like for you and your team to have to get the Speedway property ready to host so many guests here on the facility while they're here for race weekends?
Well, no other facility has to get as much acreage ready for an event as we do. We have 242 acres of property inside the infield at Talladega that we utilize inside. That's the world's biggest infield of a racetrack as far as I know. Second, we have about another 1,000 acres that we're getting ready outside of the racetrack. Here's an interesting stat. Mike McWilliams told me that to cut the grass one time at Talladega takes 1,250 gallons of diesel fuel to cut it one time. And our bush hogs basically start cutting in the spring when the grass starts shooting up, just like you have to start cutting your lawn. But we cut about 1,400 acres of lawn. So it's a tremendous undertaking. We have 15,000 at least free camping spots. No other racetrack has any. And we have hundreds and hundreds of acres located, I think, in 3 different locations on our property. And when you pair that camping for free, being able to bring your own food and beverage, no glass bottles, into our facility in your soft-sided cooler, and the great ticket prices we have, if you can't afford to come see NASCAR at Talladega, you're not going to go anywhere else because they're going to be a lot more than we are.
Well, we've covered all the off-track stuff. Now let's get to the stuff that's happening on the racetrack. Of your 2 dates each year, this is your busiest. You've got 3 days of racing action. Tell us what you have for the fans and any special ticket packages that you may have available as well.
First, 3 great sponsors. The General Tire 200, the ARCA event on Friday. That's a new sponsor for us here at Talladega. Really happy to them on board. Sparks Energy has come on board for the Xfinity Series. They'll be sponsoring the Sparks Energy 300 on Saturday. And then one of the best partners in motorsports, the Geico folks, for the Geico 500 on Sunday. So you've got racing every day, you've got entertainment every night, you've got unlimited camping, you've got great ticket prices. There's no reason, if you're in the Southeast, that you shouldn't come to Talladega, because we give fans more for your money's worth here than you can get at any other racetrack.
Grant, over the years, the Talladega Superspeedway and the action here on the track has created a lot of NASCAR rule changes. Most recently, the green-white checker finish at your race last fall has resulted in another change. Can you kind of bring us up to speed on your thought process on all of that and what we're looking at for this coming race?
In 1969, Bill France built Talladega to be the big brother to Daytona. And he made the extra length, it's 1.6 miles longer than Daytona. It's 2 degrees steeper in the banking. We're 33 degrees, Daytona's 31. What he was trying to do was build a bigger Daytona. What he built was the most competitive racetrack ever built, oval track ever built. We hold the record for all 3 series on closest finishes in NASCAR. We hold the record for the most number of lead changes ever on an oval track during a race. 88 lead changes in 188 laps. That's the most lead changes that's ever been in a race, but we did it in 188 laps. The Coca-Cola 600 has 400 laps you could have a lead change. We only had 188, and we had 88 lead changes, and 29 different drivers got to the front and led that lap. Changes to the sport, a lot of them have come about because of Talladega. The restrictor plates, came across. We were at, Bill Elliott was running 212 miles an hour, and then we had an accident here at Talladega, and that's when we first saw the restrictor plates come out there. Since that time, the close finishes, the style of racing that we have at Talladega, NASCAR has to look at that, as throughout history they've looked at that, and they've decided to do things some different ways. And first came the green-white checkered finishes that they've done. Those things have worked great for us at Talladega at times. They've been controversial at times, and they've been not so good at times. But again, when NASCAR makes these decisions, we don't always agree with them, because we do one side of the sport, NASCAR does the other side of the sport, but we're all in the sport together. So just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean it's not what they think is the best decision on how to move the sport forward at that moment. And I've been here long enough to know that sometimes their decisions turn out good and sometimes they turn out not so good. But that's the same way with us as well.
As always, it's great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for your time, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Well, I do want to say one more thing before I leave. We lost a very good friend to Talladega Superspeedway. Barney Hall passed away recently, and if anybody ever heard Barney do MRN from Talladega, you probably heard Barney say one of the most favorite things we've ever heard anybody say about Talladega, and he would say, They don't race anywhere in the world like they do at Talladega. And he's going to be up in heaven this time, but I bet you he's going to be telling the Lord the same thing up there this time as well.
Well, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Alabama Racer. The checkered flag is in the air, and we got to get to victory lane. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us this week. Remember to tell all your friends about the show. You can watch each and every week, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. That's the regularly scheduled airtime. Sometimes that might change depending upon what kind of guest we have lined up for the show and what it takes to get it all put together each and every week. But normally Thursdays at 8 o'clock. Cruz Skinner will join us in the studio next week as my special guest co-host for the Alabama Racer. Until then, remember, if you're not first, you're last.